So we call this our family truckster, you know, from the Vacations movie. We kind of bought this mainly to pull our boat that we used to have, because we only had the two small cars, Little Ranger and the Mustang. That's before we got the big truck. And so we had to have something to tow, so it ended up being I really like this vehicle. It's a 2004 Ford Expedition. This thing can turn on a dime. It's been very dependable. We got it at about 99,000. I got about 180,000 miles on it now. I've really never had too much trouble with it. Blew a spark plug out. Had a guy fix all that for me. I need to take them out and retorque them again. But you can see the hood's up. We're actually standing in front of the Harley Davidson store in Las Vegas, and it broke down again. We were coming here from home, getting ready for our trip here about a month and a half ago, heading over there to I don't know all the places we went to. Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, Ocean City. I guess that was the first one, was Ocean City. So it broke down on the way coming here. That's one of the reasons I like to always come a day early over here to Las Vegas. We're about 90 miles from Las Vegas. So it takes a couple hours to get here. Got pretty much in town before this happened. I'm not sure what happened. I was just thinking to myself how great this thing has been running. Like to really do some work on it. It's an Eddie Bauer. It's pretty much in the same condition than when we bought it, other than just changing oil and all that kind of stuff like that. But it could use the seats replaced in the front, the covers. Could use a paint job, or maybe even wrapping it is another thing. We're getting ready to go to the SEMA show. We've been thinking about that for a couple of times, about maybe wrapping this thing and maybe trying it ourselves. See how that works out. But what ended up happening is we're coming here. We're just a few miles away from Las Vegas. Big old dump truck, tandem dump truck, pulls out in front of us doing 20 on the highway. I stepped on the gas, and from the front of the hood, there was a big old steam come out. We limped it over to an AutoZone, put some antifreeze in it, put some stop leak in it, because I wasn't sure quite really what was going wrong with it. It ran for a little while before it all gushed out. Not sure what's wrong with it. My first thought maybe is the radiator. I don't think it's a hose or anything, because if it was a hose, it would have ran out. I started looking around for a flatbed trailer to borrow, things like that. This thing's almost, I think it's almost 90 inches. It's almost, I got to get something almost 8 foot wide span and a 20 foot, and then it's a little heavier, so I need something a little more. About a 10,000 pound trailer is what I need. And I was having trouble, couldn't find anybody that had one, couldn't find one to rent. So I ended up deciding, we have this towing, let's see if they'll tow it twice. We have a deal where they will tow it 100 miles for free. Well, since I took it over to Red Rock Harley, it's 17 miles over that. So here they are putting it on the truck again the second time. That ended up being a little bit of a fiasco. It took us about 4 or 5 hours to get that all straightened out. I called it on Sunday, and here it's Tuesday, I guess, is when we were going to have them pick it up. And it just was a fiasco. They ended up getting it done. It ended up being with the tow truck, the original tow truck company they contacted. They wanted to be paid to come back. And of course the tow truck company wouldn't. So we have Allstate Towing, which you don't have to have insurance through Allstate, which has done a really great job for us this year. Overall, we've only had a jump done once, probably in the last 6 years, maybe even longer than that. We've had it, started out about $100 a year. Now it's like $238 or something. It might jump again next year. But we had that motor home towed it over here to the shop. That was about an $800 value. This one here was probably $1,000 or more dollars, $1,500 probably, for them to tow it to here, which I ended up having to pay $170 out of my pocket. It was $10 a mile for extra miles. But I couldn't even rent a trailer for that, and plus the gas are going back and forth. I could probably find one in Las Vegas, but I would have to get the truck. We would have had to come back, pick up the truck, a big truck, go there, hook up the trailer, hook up the motors, put the Expedition on the trailer, haul it back here, then I turn around and I have to go back again and take the trailer back. All in probably one day. So we decided that this route worked out, and they got it towed here. A great tow company that towed it. I'll have to look up the name. If I can remember it, I'll put it down here. If you're ever in Vegas, they were great guys. The tow truck driver we had was a really excellent guy. Very happy. So here we are. So we brought it in the shop to figure out what's wrong with it. So I knew there had to either be, I didn't think it was a head gasket blown, because when I put the antifreeze in it, it had to run a little while before it started leaking. So let me show you something. On this model here, which you can't really see because I got all this junk sitting on top of it, it actually does not have a radiator refill. You have to fill this tank up with it, so you're not actually filling the radiator up, which is kind of a pain. So you can't really pressure test the system. So, but when I started pulling it out, I started seeing that the front of the radiator had rust and stuff on it. I needed to flush this thing really bad, and I never got around to doing it. So here we are. That's typically, we'll show you the radiator in a minute I took out. It's a plastic top and bottom radiator. I'll show you some tips, so if you're interested, this is a 5.4. I didn't really see this last part that I had to take off. Nobody showed me this, so I wanted to show you guys this. If you're doing this unit, I'm going to show you some of the things that I did, but I'll show you after, as I'm putting it in, what you have to do backwards. So first you want to drain all the antifreeze out of it. And this one here, I just pulled the hose off and antifreeze went everywhere. I had a pan down there, but of course it didn't catch it all. So while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and put a new serpentine belt on. It's got a few cracks in it. One of the other things that is kind of, I guess, newer cars have. I never had this trouble with an older car when I worked on them. But you have to have a tool to take off the fan clutch. So what you have to do is it's threaded on here. And so they make a tool that goes onto here, holds the bolts, and then you take a wrench and you turn it and they give you all this. AutoZone had a really good kit. I'll probably show you the video of that because I'm going to get it probably to retighten it back up. Don't charge you anything. They take a deposit of $70 because if you don't bring it back, they want you to pay for it. They ended up having about the best one. I was looking at some of the other ones that are out here on the internet. I want to order one, but if it ends up, it may not come until after I'm done. So I'm probably going to end up getting the one that they have. But there was one on Amazon where it would hook onto the two bolts here, and it would hold it while you turned it, which would work too. I tried to put a pry bar in there. I tried everything. I couldn't get anything to hold it. So I ended up going down to AutoZone. They had a great one. The one that I see on Harbor Freight sales, it actually is when you hook up to an air hammer into it, and there's no need for that. So I did get a belt tensioner. I went ahead and bought at Harbor Freight today. So we're going to go ahead and throw the belt on here. And you might be thinking, hey, you know, how does the belt go on if it's like, and you got it here where it's already off, how does it all run? On the front of your car, if the tag hasn't come off, you see I had retaped this one down. It actually shows you the setup of how the pulley goes back on, how the belt. So you do need a belt tensioner, which I ended up dropping one of my bolts, went down there. I'll have to look for it. Here's the old radiator. So it basically was leaking along the top, and I could see this. This is looking inward, so it's actually backwards from what it would be in the truck. This would be the front on this side. This would be the front here, and I could see the water had come up. And also, you can see, if you can see it in the sunlight here, the indentation of the water leaving it on here. Look, it actually said it was made in America. Can you believe that? So I'm pretty much believing it came along the seam here is where the water came out of. Like I say, once again, you can't pressure test these things, but that's my indication. Pretty sure that's all it's leaking. On this thing here, about the only really tricky thing on here was the transmission lines, which are down here at the bottom. You got to have a special tool to put it in there. You put the tool on, and what I ended up doing is, because I seen somebody else's video, is I got some PB Blaster and I kind of sprayed on it before I started, just to kind of, because heck, this thing's got 108,000 miles on it, and tapped in, and just pulling line comes right out. I end up picking this tool up, and it's a really decent one, because I kind of looked at the one in Harbor Freight, and I'm kind of glad I bought this one, because it fit in there perfectly, had no issues. So it's got two different sizes on there, 3/8 and I think 1/2 inches the other side. But I ended up getting it from AutoZone. The package just kind of got soaked in antifreeze. So here's the box that I got that the part came in. It's their Duralast transmission line, and it works on Fords and Cadillacs, it says. So this is the only one that actually said it worked on Fords. So I ended up buying that, and I was very happy because it was less than $10. So there you go. There's the old radiator. This is the upper hose. I'm going to bet money that all this is the original equipment. It's never been changed. It's got the old factory style clamps on it. The lower hose is like 3 foot long. I didn't even take that off yet because they don't have the hoses. They're supposed to show up tomorrow. So it's probably late tomorrow afternoon, so probably going to be Monday before I put this thing back together. So let me show you the new radiator. On my model of the 2004 Expedition, it showed several different radiators available through AutoZone. I bought a lot of stuff off of Amazon, and one is the brake rotors that already squeal and pulsate really bad that I bought on a couple years ago. But that's a whole nother story that we'll talk about later, because if I get a good rebate or whatever they call on this stuff, you get points for going through AutoZone. I might be buying some new brake rotors and new pads for the front and change those out again. So it's not as heavy duty looking, but I mean, it's nice they gave you all new fittings down here for the transmission line. They got a better petcock for draining. I like that better than I did the other one. But I don't know if it's interbreed quality. It's definitely, you know, like I say, this one was made in America and it did last. But the nice thing about AutoZone is a lot of their parts they have lifetime warranties on it. Of course, it says limited. Limited means like if you ran it through, had a wreck or something like that. But the odds most of the time, these plastic radiators with the tops are going to leak along the top. That's the most common places these things leak, or one of the fittings might leak down here. And that would all be warranted. So one of the reasons I like to get stuff from AutoZone. Serpentine belt back on. It took me a few seconds to kind of think about how that all went, even though they showed me the diagram. The issue I had with this radiator when I was trying to pull it out, it's got rubber mounts that's down on each side down there on the bottom. Over that way. Well, it ends up being, there's two screws. Let me turn the camera. Let me move the light so you can see. Those two screws. There's one. Bolts, I guess, because they got bolt heads that are on both sides that hold the bracket on. I tried to pull it up with the bracket in one piece and I could not do it. So what we're waiting on is the hoses, this hose and the long hose at the bottom that goes from this right side of the engine all the way over to the other side of the radiator. I'm going to connect the transmission lines, probably go ahead and snap them into place. So I have those done, and then from there we'll put the hoses on, and then we'll put the fan and the fan shroud back on. Those two I put in one piece together. We finally got all the parts in. I had to wait on the hose. That was a whole nother story. That I don't know if I'll tell you that or not. But I think I've already showed you that the radiator's already in. Check out this lower hose. If that's not crazy, it actually will go all the way, connect to the motor, and then it wraps around the lower of the thing and comes around to the front of the radiator and clamps on. That's just plain crazy. I don't know why they did that, but hey, I'm not a Ford engineer, so we're going to get to it today and finish putting this back together, and hopefully that'll fix my leaks. Looking at this hose, I had to take off the oil filter to be able to get to the clamp. Let me see if I can get around the other side here and show you that. No, can't really see. If you look down there, there's the oil filter. You can't even see the pipe coming out of the engine. Of course, Ford has those good clamps on there, those squeezable clamps. I got a good look at one. Nope, these ones here. And of course, it was turned towards the oil filter. There's no way to get it from underneath to get to it. But after fighting with it, I did get it off. The radiator in, all the hoses on. The problem now is it won't start. It starts, it runs for a few seconds and dies, no matter if I step on the gas or not. So I was checking the fuel pressure, and it goes up a little bit and it comes right back down. So I'm not sure if the regulator, we're going to go ahead. I couldn't tell you last time I put a fuel filter in, so we're going to install that right now. And it's going to be down here along the passenger door, or driver's door, in the back. And it's up inside here, right there. I already pulled the first line off, let it drain. These are pretty easy. These just have the blue button there. There's one on each side. Just push, it pulls right off. So that's kind of cool. Had a cover on it. There's laying there. It was just on here. You just pull back and then lift up, and it comes right down. So that was really easy to change the fuel filter. Here's what it's doing. Pressure's going down. I gotta turn this sideways so you can see it. So everything that I looked at says it's the regulator, fuel regulator. So another thing we need to try to change. So right now I got a draw on the battery, and I'm not sure what it is. I think it's the dome lights are running, so I got a scan tool coming for this. Who is planning on doing a major overhaul on this Ford Expedition? That's what I get for saying that it's been really running good. We've had no trouble with this thing. I thought all we're going to do is put a radiator in here and we're all going to be all done. But now it could be, I can go back and check the fuel pump and see what's going on that. They showed me on there, you can take a couple paper clips, you can jump it, and we'll see if we can find that, and maybe we'll try that. So we got it running. It sounds like it's got a little bit of a miss. I'm gonna have to check that out and see. I got a new scan tool, we'll show you that in a minute. But what ends up happening on this, why it wouldn't start, only ran for a second, is inside here is the map sensor. There it is. It has to get the airflow for it to, for it to do its thing. And since I didn't have it hooked up, that's why I kept doing that. I ended up checking something and somebody said, make sure the map sensor is working. So once I put it on, it started right up. So we got the radiator full. Right now I got water in it, just checking to make sure. I'm gonna end up flushing it once I make sure everything's good. Just get that rust and stuff out of the inside of the motor. We took the transmission lines off. I gotta put a little bit of transmission fluid. I put half a quart in right now. We're letting that sit and see how that all works out. But other than that, it looks like it's pretty good. We still have to find out why the battery's being drained. I'm pretty sure it is one of the door switches is staying on, and that's what's draining the battery. But the scan tool will show us all that. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And let me check the transmission fluid here and see if it's full. So we're working this. This is a Think Diagonal, DIAG2. And let's see what it does. I got it all hooked up. I couldn't find the manual. I had to manually put in the VIN number because I guess it's too old. It's not in the computer. So we're going to look at, see what some of the functions are. Let's see what the health report shows. Anti-block brakes, electronic automatic temperature control is a fine fault code 2. Driver's seat has a code. Hybrid electronic cluster has a code. It didn't really show me what I really wanted to know, but it's probably because this is so old of a vehicle. So we'll take it out and drive it, and we'll come back and check the scans again and see what we get out of this. I took the old family truckster, that's what we call it. I don't know why it ever came up with the name of the family truckster, because we actually put all the grandkids and...
Probably, and traveled all over with them.
So that's kind of why we call it the family truckster. But I mean, it ended up, it's running all right at the moment. I still have just plain water in the radiator because I'm going to end up flushing it, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any more leaks or anything like that. So we drove it around yesterday for quite a while, probably put about 25 or 30 miles on it. I'm going to drive it a little bit more this week, and then probably next week I'll go ahead and drain out some of the water, put in the flush, fill it back up, and then I'm going to drive it for about a week too. Just get all that rust out of there. Actually, on the instructions on the bottle, it actually said that on there. We're also going to put down here, you can look there in the comments, we're going to put the link down there for the scanner that I got. Right now, they got a great Black Friday sale on it. Actually, I could have saved some money. It's a regular $159, and they got it for like $115. So I missed out by buying it a little bit earlier. I know I should always wait, but I wanted to kind of find out what was draining that battery. So it works mainly more for the newer cars, but I mean with the 04 there, it did have a lot of the specs on there, but they didn't have the seat belt. Not the seat belt, but they didn't have the door locks on that one. But I mean back then they probably didn't have that. That sensor isn't in the computer, so can't have something you don't have. So it looks like it's a pretty cool tool. It's very inexpensive. The updates aren't too bad. I'll have to look back up and see what the updates were, but I mean, when I looked at it, it wasn't too bad. I think you got to update it like every 2 years, but I'm thinking, I'm waiting to see what happens with it, where you may not have to update it if you don't buy anything new. Some of this stuff, if you don't update it, but I don't know if it'll end up being when the 2 years expires, they won't give you any access to the website on your phone, because you need to use your phone to get all the information and pertinent information and everything out of it. So it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it at this time. And hey, for 115 bucks, even at $159, it wasn't a bad price there from Amazon. So check it out down there. We're supposed to eventually get a little bit of money from Amazon. She's going to call there on Monday and find out what the heck's going on there, because we never have gotten anything, and a lot of you say you bought stuff from us.
We have an Amazon influencer page, but we've never gotten anything from it, so we'll see.
So we're going to start putting some stuff down there, especially some tools and stuff like that we're using. We got a bunch of great reviews coming up here real soon, so stay tuned and keep watching the Bob, Tams, Cars, Trucks, and Motorcycles.
There you go. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love all you guys. Hope you got a lot out of this, some good information maybe you can use on some of your older vehicles. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next video.
There you go. We'll see you in a couple days.
See ya.